But let's now speak to mortgage advisor and broker Sally Mitchell, who can join us once more here on GB News. Sally, thanks for your time. I think I'm right in saying that at the moment, the various providers haven't actually reacted to the interest rate rise yesterday. They're obviously still waiting, I guess, to see how things work out, and perhaps particularly this meeting at number 11 this morning.
Yes, I would think so. We have had a couple of emails coming in the last half an hour announcing rate increases. So I think the ball has definitely started to roll. Not seen any press releases, not seen any information coming through from the big lenders who were present at that meeting. I'm glad that they got together and had a meeting. It's important. I think they've got to do something to quell the unrest, quell the fright, the scaredness that is among their customers, definitely. But what they've suggested has actually, apart from the credit rating element, has actually been available before. So,
well, I was trying to get an indication from Liam on that, because we had a meeting back in December, which we spoke about, and indications about this interest-only period, extending the mortgage. It was discussed then, and I think people like Martin Lewis said, "Look, you should have really held the industry's feet to the fire to ensure that these products were being put out there."
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've suggested as brokers to our clients, ever since the mini budget.
Right.
If you really need to, extending the term or swapping onto interest only, if possible, is a good alternative. And of course, as I think your correspondent said, the banks are in the business of lending money, making money, and they run themselves, really. It's very difficult for the government to actually make them do anything. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. For example, extending the term. What happens if somebody's term is already taking them up to state retirement age?
Yeah, and we spoke to someone this morning who said, I've already got an interest-only mortgage. How does this help me? And, suggestions maybe these are sort of like sticking plasters rather than addressing the overall picture.
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking. I think it's I don't want to say lip service. I think it's brilliant that they're addressing that there is a real issue. But the people who are going to pay for these improvements are actually the mortgage holders. Because if you increase the term, then you're paying your debt off over a longer period of time, so you pay more interest. If you go on to interest only, you're not paying off your capital, so you're left with a bigger bill at the end. And realistically, 6 months of going on to extending a term or interest only, is that going to be long enough to ride this out?
Well, yeah, because clearly that's the big question. Yeah, what's going to happen for the rest of the year? We had Andrew Bailey again saying they expect inflation to fall quite dramatically towards the end of the year. But, they've been saying that for several months now. And clearly a lot of people coming off these fixed deals of 2 years or even longer are wanting to know or get some certainty as they look towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and next year we've still got hundreds of thousands of people coming off fixed deals. So how long is this going to be open for, this option? Is it just going to be 6 months? What's going to happen for purchases, and especially first-time buyers, landlords? This is about homeowners. It seems to be very skewed towards people who are on a fixed term who are very worried. Yeah. I welcome it. They need help. But I don't think it necessarily goes far enough.
Okay, and just to reflect, maybe when we think back to previous times when we had repossessions on, obviously protection now that, you've got a 12-month waiting period. But of course, we had a lot more mutually owned building societies in those days. We now have banks that have to pay out their shareholders. So does that mean it is a lot more aggressive in terms of those business terms out there?
Yes, it is. I mean, that you can't get away from it. But the banks, because they're lending money and they have customers, they are regulated. They have a duty of care. I've been saying this for so many times in the last week. They do have a duty of care to treat their customers fairly. And repossessing is always a last resort. And it's not anything that anybody wants to do. So I welcome that repossession holiday. But in reality, it takes well over a year to even get the ball rolling in terms of a repossession. So it's a crumb of comfort, but if you're looking down the barrel of a repossession, all hope is lost. Yeah. To be honest, what else is there to do? It's awful.
Sally, thank you very much indeed for updating us with the position there as a broker, of course, dealing with the day-to-day issues as people try to get through this. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up, the US Navy